So let's get started. Let's jump straight into it and create a console application. Here I'm using Visual Studio 2026, the Insiders version. And we're going to create a very simple app just to demonstrate the basics of unit testing. We have the typical app that prints hello world. And I'm going to create a very simple app that verifies if the user input is an integer or not. So for this, I'm going to declare a couple of properties. First, an integer and also a boolean. And then I'm creating a loop that depends on this is input valid boolean. So I pasted in some code that I had prepared before. So in line 6, we have a message. In line 7, we collect the input. And in the block from 11 to 14, if its input valid isn't true, we're going to print a message telling the user to try again. In line 9, I have some code commented out. This is where I'm going to make a call to a method that we're going to create to figure out if the input is valid or not. This method is going to live in a helper class. So if you right click on the project and click on class, you can create a new one. And I'm calling it validator helper. It's very common in C# to create helper classes that are static. They help with specific tasks, and we can call static methods without having to create an instance of the class. So here we have a static method that checks if the integer is valid, and it takes the input and returns an integer as a result, and it will always return 0 if the check is false. So now I can uncomment line 9 and make the call to the static method. And that's it. That's our application for now. Let's run it and see what happens. So it works as expected. If I try to input a string, it tells me to try again because the parsing didn't work. And if I input an integer, the parsing is successful. And for now, we are closing the app. So since we just wanted to demonstrate for beginners how unit tests work, we created something super simple. Now we need to create a test project. So we are right clicking on the solution and choosing new project. And the project type will be NUnit test project. NUnit is one of the most used testing frameworks alongside XUnit and MS Test. But you don't need to worry too much since all the principles that you learn here are going to apply to other frameworks as well. So I'm changing the file name to validation helper tests. And I'll do the same with the name of the class. And for now, we can get rid of this setup method. The initial scaffolding of the test project ships with the setup method and a test method called test1, which is not very useful. So you can delete that. We're going to learn more about setups later. For now, we're just going to change the name of this method, which is decorated with this test attribute. And we're going to say that correct input returns true. And a good way to name your tests is to say the name of the method that you're calling or the service or functionality, followed by what type of input you have, setup data, and what's supposed to happen. Since we only have one method in this app, the name of my test method only has the type of input and what is supposed to happen. So we're going to try to call that method from our test. So here I'm declaring a variable that will be assigned to the result of calling that method. But at the moment, the compiler cannot find that method. That's because we need to add a reference to the unit test demo project in this test project. So you have to right click on the test project, choose add and project reference, and choose the project that you want. And we can see here that the reference was added to the project file. So let's delete what we have and start again. So I'm going to declare a variable and assign it to the result of calling the isValidInteger method. Then I can actually write the test. To do this, I can use NUnit's assert class, which uses the constraint-based assertion model, which makes the test super readable and lets you use the compiler to help, and is replacing the classic assertion model from NUnit. So the assertion class has a method called that, and into this method we can pass a value and compare it to the expected result. In this case, we're simply asserting if the value of isValidInteger is true, since it's a boolean. So let's run the test and see if it works. I can right-click on the unit test project and choose Run Tests, and that will open up a window called Test Explorer, where you can visualize all your tests. This window has a few controls that are very familiar. You can stop and start the test. You can run an individual test or all of them at the same time. And every time you create a new test with the test attribute, it's going to show up in this window. And since I passed a string into this method, it returned false. And that is one of the ways to write a test. You start with making the test fail and then use a correct input. And in this situation, we're not using TDD, which is test-driven development, which is a technique where we write the test before writing the functionality that we want to test. And that is a super powerful thing, but it's out of the scope of this video. Now let's try an actual integer input. And the test passes. Now I'm going to create a different test for a different scenario. This time the input is going to be a negative number. So the name of the method will contain that specific information. So correct negative input returns true, and the test passes as well. And as we said before, just creating the test was enough for the Test Explorer to pick it up. Something else we can do is have multiple assertions in the same test. Often we have methods or functionalities that do more than one thing. And our validation method would be an example of that, since it returns a number and also a boolean. So here I'll test not only if the boolean is the expected, but also if the number that was returned is the expected. And again, the test passes. And if it didn't pass, you tell me exactly which assertion failed. Another very powerful technique is the ability to set parameters in these methods so that we can pass arguments. So let's see how this works. Here I'm going to create a parameter called input, which will be a string, and also a boolean, which will be the expected result, and the integer, which will be the expected validated value. This allows me to run several tests using the same method. For this, we need a different attribute. We need the test case attribute, which will contain the arguments. So the first test case will be 1, 2, 3. The expected boolean will be true, and the expected number will be 1, 2, 3. And I'll create a few of these with different possibilities. Second one will be 0. With the third, fourth, and fifth ones, I'm going to test what happens if we have a leading space, a trailing space, and a leading and a trailing space. And this is much more elegant than if I had to create one test per each of these edge cases. Then in the test method, I need to use these parameters instead of the hard-coded values. So now I'm passing the input argument into the isValidInteger method. And I'm also testing if the isValidInteger is equal to the expected result, and if the integer that we returned from calling our validation method is equal to the expected validated value. If you didn't understand what's going on here, stop the video now, pause it, and examine the code. To summarize, we're just making this method dynamic, so the assertions are based on parameters. So if I run the tests, you can see that each of these cases was picked up as a different unit test. Now I'm going to modify one of these tests so that it doesn't pass, just to make sure everything is working correctly. And it doesn't pass, so that means that we're not having false positives. And let's fix it so all tests pass again. Another important unit test technique is the ability to import a collection into a test. I'm creating a private static read-only array of objects, and it will be called isValidInteger cases, and I'm putting all the test cases that we've used before into this array. And here I'm using the find and replace tool from Visual Studio just to help me refactor this code. So now I have this collection of tests, and I can use the test case source attribute, passing the name of my collection, and all tests will be run just like before, but now our code is a little bit more organized. This is very important, particularly when we have a large number of tests, and it helps keep the code more organized and modular. Something else that we use all the time during development is the ability to debug the tests. For this, all I have to do is put a breakpoint anywhere in the code and right-click on the test attribute and run debug tests instead of just run tests. Then when the breakpoint is hit, I can step into the code, which needless to say is extremely useful. And I can hover over the properties to see what's going on. And I step into the actual code that's being used. And if I press continue, I'm going to hit that same breakpoint for each test. And since my test method takes parameters, I'm not going to need this specific test for testing negative inputs. So I'm going to get rid of that and add this type of test to my collection alongside many other tests, just to demonstrate how I can make it really comprehensive. I'm covering all sorts of silly inputs here. And if I run the test again, all of a sudden I have 38 tests just using one method. Now, to make it a little bit more realistic, let's say that the requirements have changed in the company that you work for. In your application's functionality, you have now a new requirement where that method has to be configured as to allow negative numbers or not. Additionally, so far we have only tested static methods, which is super easy. What happens if our method is not static? What happens if we need an instance of the class instead of being able to simply call the method? So here I have removed the static keyword, and now I'm passing a boolean into the constructor of the validation helper. And I'm going to change the logic of this method so it checks for negative numbers in case that boolean is negative. And that breaks the app, since so far we are directly calling the method. Now in program.cs, we need to create an instance of that class to be able to call the method. And this is what I'm doing in line 5. I'm creating an instance of the validator helper, and that allows me to call the method again. And I'm going to do the same in the test. At the moment it's broken. But instead of creating that instance directly in the method, I'm going to use the setup method. That is a method decorated with the setup attribute, and it allows me to create members that will be used across different methods. So here I'm creating a field for this validator, and I'm actually going to call it service, since by convention in C# helpers are mainly static. So I'm quickly going to change everything to service instead of helper. So the field was created in line 55, and I'm going to instantiate that validator service in the setup method. And that is a nice example of the utility of unit tests. Let's say you're doing a million different things in your company and you make this change. The test will let you know if you broke anything. And in this situation, if I run the tests, I can see that the change that I implemented broke 2 tests. At the moment, if you haven't worked in a company before, that might not make a lot of sense, but trust me, it's super helpful to have these tests automated to prevent bugs from creeping into your app. So in this situation, what we have to do is update the tests to fit the new requirements. So I'm going to find the negative values and pass the expected boolean as false. And obviously, if you have use cases in your app where that class would allow negative values, then you'd have to create different test cases and pass true for the negative values. So that was your introduction to unit testing in C#. I wanted to keep this video short, very specific for beginners. It's very important to get practice with unit tests before trying more advanced topics such as integration testing. So I highly recommend you make testing part of your development routine. I guarantee it's going to make you a much better developer, much more respected in your team, and less prone to making mistakes. And watch this space. We are already preparing an integration testing tutorial as well, since it's also super important for your development journey. If this was helpful, don't forget to like the video and post any questions in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.